Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. This is the African Reform channel, the African Reform Movement channel, where we talk about all things with regards to African Reformation with an emphasis on Ghana. I'm your host. My name is Uche Noka. I will be speaking to our distinguished guest, Dr. Nii and Darko. Before we start, I just want to encourage everybody to follow Dr. Nii on all the social media platforms. He's on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you're following us on YouTube, can I ask you all, not only to just subscribe, but click the function, the bell notification function, so you can see when we're going to be going live. Anything that we post up on YouTube, you'll get a notification about that. So after you subscribe, please also hit the notification bell so you're notified of any updates. Dr. Nii also has a number of books that he's written. Oops, yeah. And you can purchase all of his books at this particular address here. Some of the books, well, the books that he referenced last week can be purchased here. A lot of the stuff that he speaks about are in some of his books, so you'd be well advised to get his books and read them. I'll put these details are all on his YouTube page, but I just want to let you see them here. And also I want to encourage everybody, please, please, please make use of the chat function during Dr. Nii's speech. I know that sometimes people are a bit nervous, they don't want to seem silly, but there's no such thing as a silly question. And I guarantee you, the question that you have on your mind, somebody else has on their mind as well. So please put all of your questions in the chat function and Dr. Nii will answer them when we get around to them. So please, please, don't be shy, don't be afraid, don't think it'll sound silly. We want to hear your thoughts and Dr. Nii wants a chance to be able to speak to your questions. Okay? So today, we are going to be speaking about ECOFED, this wonderful new system that Dr. Nii wants to speak to us about. And it's, again, a new political kingdom for economic prosperity. So Dr. Nii, we welcome you. And I hand it over to you. Take us through this. What does ECOFED mean? And why do you think this is a good idea for Ghana?
Thank you very much, Uche. And then also thank you, audience. I'm very glad you are here with me today so that we go through ECOFED, a short form for Economic Federalism. Now, this particular lecture or interview, I dub it Power to the People and also sub-dub it A New Political Kingdom for Economic Prosperity. Now, let me start by saying this, that Kwame Nkrumah once said, seek ye first the political kingdom and everything else shall be added unto you. He was obviously adopting and adapting Jesus Christ's statement that seek ye first the kingdom of God and its righteousness and everything else shall be added unto you. The only thing here is that Nkrumah left out the righteousness. So it's not just political kingdom, but the right political kingdom. You see, okay. It's not just the political kingdom, but the right political kingdom. We have had this political kingdom since 1957, and we are still where we were 64 years ago, because we went for the wrong political kingdom. Now, when I say a new political kingdom for economic prosperity, I mean just that. A rethink of how we started so that we could build a kingdom for ourselves that will ensure our economic prosperity. Before we go into today's topic, I will just make a small comment. Can you please have slide 2? Yeah, the second slide is on Paul Kagame, the president of Rwanda. You know, after my last program, Shika then sent me a quotation of Paul Kagame. So I went back to check the quotation and where he said it, and I read a bit about it. Basically, he made a quotation in August 2018 at the African Leadership Conference in Kigali. And this is what he said. I would rather argue that we need to mobilize the right mindsets rather than more funding. He continued that, after all, we have everything we need in Africa in real terms. We are even begging for things we already have. That is absolutely a failure of mindset. That is absolutely a failure of mindset. Now, this is not me talking theory. This is Paul Kagame, a president of an African Republic, knowing how his contemporaries think, and he's saying that this is absolutely a failure of mindset. Now, when I formed the African Reform Movement in 2008, that was the agenda, that there was a failed mindset that needed to be reformed. And I've been preaching about that for the past 20 years. So I'm very glad that Paul Kagame now is talking from a practical point of view, that we are even begging for things that we already have. That is absolutely a failure of mindset. He didn't say that represents some failure of mindset. He said it's 100% failure of mindset. Absolute. And that is where we are. That's why the battle is so hard, because it's not dealing with physical things, it's dealing with mindset, which has gone wrong. Absolutely wrong. And until we reverse and correct the wrong mindset, we'll be just wasting our time. That is the biggest problem. So to have a political kingdom, it must be born from a reform mindset. Otherwise, you have a wrong political kingdom, and all the other wrong things shall be added onto you for it. Next topic, please. Next slide, please.
Okay. Sorry, Dr. Nii, before we go to the next slide, I can hear some, I think there's a radio on behind you.
The what?
I can hear a radio.
Oh, okay, sorry. Oh my God, I'm just getting old.
It's okay. I couldn't hear it before. I would have said it before, but yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was watching rugby before.
Okay.
All right. So now we are going to talk about the system, economic federalism, and how it will solve all the problems that Ghanaians are facing today. The galamsey, the doomsaw, that's the electricity rationing, and the water shortages, and all the problems there. We are talking about a structure that will fix them, because you see, what we are seeing there is they are just symptoms of a structureless system. All the problems we are finding there, they are just symptoms of a structureless system, or we are working without any framework. You are not going to build a house without having an engineer and architect draw the plans for you, without having good builders, without having money to do to build a house. It is very important that we get the structure correct. Once you get the structure correct, everything becomes a matter of course. In fact, that's why in the advanced world, anybody can be president. Because the systems are there, and when you come, the system tells you what to do largely. So anybody can come in there, and nothing will go so wrong. But for us, we need to have the systems in place first. Like Obama said, Africa doesn't need strong men anymore. Africa needs strong institutions.
Yes. Yeah.
That is what we need. So now we are starting, we are starting from ground zero. Structure of the state. I've spoken about this before, but I want to say it again so that it sinks in better. Structure of the state. Under economic federalism, we're going to have states, not regions. Now, each state will be 8 to 10% of the population. And at the state level, or the state becomes the political unit of the system. Then the district, each state will have 5 districts. So it means that each district will be between 1.6 to 2% of the population. And the district is the service unit. That's where services will be delivered. And then each district will have 5 constituencies. So it means that each constituency is going to be 0.32 to 0.4% of the population. And that becomes the electoral unit. What it means is that in every state, we're going to have 25 constituencies. Next slide, please. Now, state government. So with this in place, how are we going to design how the state will be governed? We have traditional or state traditional authority, STA. Now, this is the renaming of what we call Regional House of Chiefs. Then we have state parliament of 32 members. And then we have state cabinets of a premier and 6 commissioners for the 6 core areas. And then we also have the umbrella system. Next slide, please. Good. Before I comment on this, let me make a quick note, or let me say something briefly on the state parliament. It's going to have 32 members. Now, these 32 members, 25 will come from the 25 constituencies in the state.
Okay.
And 7 or 20% of the 32 will come from the state traditional authorities. Now, under our present constitution of 1992, the president appoints 30% of members of the local or the district assembly in consultation with the traditional authorities. Now, we are taking the president out of this business, okay? I don't know how a president will know so well about districts that are so far removed from where he lives or where he has ever lived for him to properly appoint people from there, other than appointing party members, even in districts that he lost the election. It doesn't make sense. What we are going to do is that the state traditional authorities would advertise for people who want to represent the STA in parliament, okay? And they'll put selection criteria there, like I told you, like Jethro told Moses, selection criteria, competent people, experienced people, educated people, exposed people, people who have shown good response in the community. Now, they will put all the things there. And it's important because not everybody will want to be engaged in the hard political partisan thing, but they have a lot to contribute. So through this arrangement, they will then put up their hand. They'll go to the, they can have, they'll put up their hand that, look, we want to go to parliament through the STA and not through political parties. Now, the STA is going to give 20% of the positions, and 80% of the positions will be voted by through universal adult suffrage, as we are doing now. As we are doing now, only 70% are voted for, and the president alone appoints 30%. We say, no, president, stay at the national level. Moses, stay at the national level. We are going to organize ourselves at the district level on how to represent ourselves. 80% of the representation will come from a district, from the constituencies in the state, and 20% will come from the STA. Now, in the STA, there's going to be gender balance. So you're going to have a male list and a female list. Let's say 5 males, 5 females. When they vote, the top 3 males and the top 3 females will automatically enter into the parliament. Now, the 7th person is going to be a runoff between the 4th male and the 4th female. Whoever wins becomes the 7th person. So every state will have at least 3 females and 4 males, or at least 3 males and 4 females joining them from the STA. That's how we decide that we will have to have fair representation from the STA of competent people who do not want to necessarily do political parties.
That was going to be my question to you. There has to be some kind of system to make sure that it isn't just like you have to have 3 women and 3 men. You have to make sure that people are actually competent, they are qualified.
Yes, that's why you have to have the selection criteria.
Right. Yeah.
So if you don't meet the selection criteria, you don't even go there at all. You'll be knocked out.
Good.
Okay. So yes, so that is there. So there is not just a matter of gender balancing. No.
Right.
All those who are there are capable of occupying the position. But when they are capable of occupying, then we have to go to the next level to try and make sure that it is fair. Because that's what I mean by the fair state.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now you can see the core services: health, education, law and order, power and water, agriculture industries, then housing, infrastructure, and transport. Now, these are the core services that the state parliament, through the state commissioners, would oversee and provide. So you can see that with this structure, health is no longer going to be the direct concern of the national government. Education is no longer going to be a concern of the national government. Law and order is not going to be the main concern of the national government. Power and water, agriculture industries, all these things are now going to be handled by state government. So this is a structure that will solve the problem we are complaining about. But we'll go further to see how it will work. Next slide, please.
So before you just go to the next slide, but I'm assuming they will respond to they will feed directly into the national governing body, yeah?
No, the national body is going to be separate. This is a federal system. Like you have in, what happens is that the national government will write the overall framework, the policy. Okay. But when it comes to service delivery, it's going to be done at the state level. So national government will also give funds for all these things, but it's going to be managed at the state level. For instance, like they do block funding in UK. You know, it goes to Scotland Parliament, Welsh Parliament, Northern Ireland Parliament, but then they manage the services there. They actually directly manage the services there. So you're going to have a similar situation, except that here we are having commissioners to actually oversee the management and the delivery of these services. So
okay, but if it fails at state level, let's just say like law and order is not being managed at state level, it's broken down at state level, there's problem at state level, will the national government not now, is there not a way to get the national government involved to remedy that?
No, you see, what you're talking about is part of constitutional designs when there can be intervention and where there cannot be intervention. Okay, so like everywhere else, even in America tomorrow, Joe Biden can decide to call for state of emergency. That will supersede all the states and whatever they are doing there. Okay, so we always have those things embedded in constitutions to make sure that there's no lawlessness in a particular part of the country at any point in time. So those constitutional arrangements will be there, but the day-to-day ordinary managing of these things will be done at the state level. Obviously, if there is massive natural disaster, the national government will have to intervene.
Right.
Okay. If there is massive, earthquake or something, national government will have to intervene. But the ordinary day-to-day normal life, education, health, and these things will be organized at the state level. And it's very important because you see, let me say it this way. Somebody will ask, so where will you get the competent people to do all this work when you have all this at the state level? You see, and that's why it's a beautiful thing, because under a democracy, we're going to have only 25 ministers. Okay, and we're going to have only 100 members of parliament. So at the national level, all we have there is 125 people, which is about the same number of ministers Akufo-Addo has today. He has about 125 or more ministers, just ministers. So now everybody is rushing to Accra. Everybody is rushing to Accra to get a ministerial post or get this job or get that job. No, when you have only 125, that's 125. Now, people always follow opportunities. So everybody who runs to Accra now will no longer run to Accra. They will actually go back to where they came from to get opportunities there. And we have a lot of people who can do good jobs outside Accra. But because of the nature of the structure as we have it now, they all want to come to Accra. All road leads to Accra. And that's why there is political congestion there and nothing happens outside Accra. Now, this is going to liberate those people and talent to be released into other parts of the country to do the work that I have listed here.
Okay. I still can't quite see that in my mind. I mean, so it has to be something. So basically, you're saying the national government can intervene when it's a critical issue, where if the thing just completely broken down.
Everywhere in the world, it doesn't matter the system you have there. National government can always intervene.
Right.
America is Australia here is fully federal. But when something happens, national government can intervene. Sometimes, in 2011, when you had massive floods where I lived, not only national government intervened, but New Zealand intervened.
Okay.
Yeah, the New Zealand came in and helped with the flooding. They sent their soldiers and their sandbags and So because we had that relationship. If it happens the other way around too, when the bushfires came, New Zealand came. In fact, even Britain came. So as for the normal day-to-day life, these things are going to. Schools will be organized by a state government, not national governments.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, if there is a major outbreak of communicable disease that is overwhelming, not only that the national government may intervene, other state governments may also intervene in a particular state to help.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense now. Yeah.
All right. So next slide, if you don't mind. Oh, okay. So the next thing on the state government is the umbrella system. Now, when Sir Frederick Byrne was brought to Ghana by Nkrumah in 1955 to help write the independence constitution, he went around the country to look at how our system actually was like. And he came to the conclusion that we needed to have regional assemblies. At that time, we had only 5 regions. So we also have regional assemblies that would have control over certain aspects of government function. And then the head of that regional assembly, the executive head of that regional assembly, should be the president of the regional House of Chiefs. Because he realized that Ghana, the chieftaincy institution is very, very powerful. And it was important that it was actually incorporated into the new system that we're going to have after independence. So he suggested that the regional head or the head of the regional assembly should be the president of the regional House of Chiefs. Obviously, that was accepted by Nkrumah, but when we got a 2/3 majority in parliament, he just repealed it. But we have come all this point, we have come all this way and realized that you cannot do without the chiefs. Mm-hmm. They do not only represent the people, but they are the custodian of the land. They hold the original sovereignty. It was the chief, that's why they used the chiefs and people of Ghana, the chiefs and people of the chiefs and people of the, because they hold the original sovereignty that the British put together and derived that sovereignty from it when they formed the Gold Coast. Now, under democracy, Amralo is a word for governor in my language. Under economic federalism, we're going to have executive power with the premier. He is the elected executive leader of the state. But we're going to have a governor of the state who acts as a ceremonial head of the state. He opens parliament and he does those little ceremonial things, but at least that gives recognition to the fact that the land on which the state is built is owned by somebody. Okay. Now we have shapes, we have forms and shapes of this across board. In South Africa, for instance, during their negotiations for independence, the Zulu king said he wanted his own space. How was he going to be accommodated in the democratic process when he wasn't elected? But then he said that his kingdom is bigger than Lesotho, and Lesotho is a sovereign nation. His kingdom is bigger than Swaziland. As a matter of Swaziland is a breakaway group from Zulu. So he needed his space. So Mandela had to come up with something. Okay, Mandela, okay, we call all the other places provinces. You can decide to call KwaZulu-Natal Kingdom of KwaZulu-Natal, and they are going to make you like the governor of KwaZulu-Natal. So he opens the parliament in KwaZulu-Natal. So he is the ceremonial head of the KwaZulu-Natal province, although KwaZulu-Natal has got its own premier who has the executive authority to do everything. That is one example. The other example is Australia. In Australia, every state has got a governor. Well, the governor represents the Queen because Australia is taken as crown land. So the governor represents the Queen, and the governor basically opens the state parliament, does some few ceremonial things. He has no real power. He has no executive power. Okay. But he keeps the land and the people together. We have to understand that in the community, we have or in the country, or what we call a country, we have the nation, which refers to the people. We have the state, which refers to the political organization, and then we have the country, which refers to the physical land on which the people live and on which the state is built. So recognition of the land and the constitution of the land is what the umbrella system is about. Now, when you go to Malaysia, at independence, when they became a republic, well, the queen had to go. So who replaced the queen? They decided that there are 9 provinces in Malaysia, and each province has a king. So the kings of each province, they will be rotating. So one king serves as ceremonial head of state for 1 term, then he moves to the next king, So by the time it goes around 9 times, it's come back to the first king again. So that's the way they keep their system going. When the queen left, they decide that local kings should replace the queen. As a matter of fact, it's only in Africa that they destroyed the Westminster system and they all became executive presidents. India, Pakistan, Malaysia, Singapore, they all maintain the Westminster, the prime minister and ceremonial presidents. All of them. And we are no better than them in Africa. We are no better than them. All of them maintain. Everywhere in Africa started with prime minister. In no time, they all became presidents, and then they combined the role of head of state and head of government into one person. With this system, like in Malaysia, the head of state is the rotating king, and the head of government is the prime minister, like you have it in the UK. Okay. Now, UK also has a way of accommodating its old barons and baroness and things like that in the House of Lords. So every place, they look at their history and try and combine traditional and contemporary politics into one seamless system that has yielded good results for most of them. So that's what the umbrella system is about. Next topic. Next slide, please. Okay. Good. So we know that at the state level, we have State Executive Committee or the cabinet made up of the premier and 6 other commissioners to help him execute the duty of service provision in the 6 areas. So what happens now at the district level? That's the service delivery unit of the whole structure. What happens there? What controls service delivery in the district? Now, the parliament has got 32 MPs. That includes the prime minister, the premier, and the speaker. Okay, let's take the premier and the speaker out. We are left with 30. So each district will be left with 6 MPs. We have 5 districts we have 30 MPs divided by 5 districts. So each district gets 6 MPs. Now, these 6 MPs, they are going to be what? They are going to be spokespersons for the 6 core service areas. So there will be one MP who is responsible for health, one responsible for education, one responsible for law and order, one responsible for power and water, one responsible for agri industries, and one responsible for housing, infrastructure, and transport. The 6 MPs will all be responsible for one core service area. What it means is this: every single member of parliament holds an executive position at the district level. And that's why I call it government of local unity. It doesn't matter the political party you belong to, it doesn't matter whether you are independent, at the district level, you hold an executive way, and that's a good training ground for future leadership. That's the district executive committee, or what I call the government of local unity. Now, the leader of this DEC, this executive becomes the mayor. The leader becomes the mayor. Now, one thing I forgot to mention about when we spoke about the state executive committee or the cabinet. Now, you have 6 commissioners at the state level, and we have 5 districts. So it means that at least every district will have 1 commissioner.
So sorry, is
5
the commissioner a mayor, or is that completely different?
No, I'm talking about this one. I forgot to say this when I was talking about the state executive or the state cabinet. And I'm saying that the state cabinet is the premier and 6 commissioners, or let's say 6 mini ministers, 6 small ministers. Okay. Now, there are 6 ministers there, and we have 5 districts. So it means that every district will have at least 1 minister, 1 commissioner.
Okay.
So that we spread political power across board. And the very lucky district will have 2, because there'll be remaining 1 more, because we have 6 with 5 districts. So at least every district will have a representation on the state cabinet. That's what we call a fair state. Every district will have a representation on the state cabinet. Now, when it comes to the district level, the district executive committee, which is like the district government, every member of parliament is on it. And every member of parliament has got a responsibility for one of the 6 core areas.
Okay.
And that's good executive experience for somebody who wants to go higher in politics. Next slide, please. So now we have the district service committees. That's over there. So we have now. How would the district executive committee do their work? So each spokesperson for health, for education, for law and order, for power and water, for agriculture industries, and for housing, infrastructure, and transport, each spokesperson in a district will form a district service committee. So we have Health District Service Committee. Next slide, please. Good. So this is an example of how a district health committee will be composed of. This is the Health District Service Committee. So you have the spokesperson on health, who is the MP. Then you have the district medical officer, or the chief medical officer in the district, the chief pharmacist in the district, the director of nursing in the district, a traditional leader, an eminent citizen, and a member of the youth. So this committee, they will plan and deliver health services in the district. Okay. If you have a problem with your health, you don't go to the Ministry of Health in Accra. In your district, you have people there who are from the district, who live in the district, who understand the district, and who will deliver the service to you. So they are the point. They will plan everything about health in the district. Now, the same goes for law and order. We all know that Galamsey, the small-scale mining is illegal. But now, people in districts far away from Accra are looking up to Accra to solve the problem there, and it hasn't worked. Now, when you have a district service committee on law and order, then you know that district service committee on law and order, it is their responsibility to deal with these illegal practices in the district. Of course, the mining, the illegal mining is affecting water supply and it's affecting agriculture industry. So you're going to have a combined team dealing with this thing at where the thing occurs, not from somebody in Accra who doesn't even know where that place is. And these are the strategies you put in place to solve local problems. The same thing will happen for education. Now, you decide that, oh, we have 100,000 children here. So we need 100,000 classrooms. I mean, 100,000 desks. Now, we have 60,000 now. So we are short, we are falling short of 40,000. And we have to get the money to do it. You plan. and you go to national government, say that this is how much you're going to need to do this and that and that and that and that. And then it becomes a local solution to a local problem. At this point in time, the person who supplies or the person who is supposed to deliver this good sits somewhere far away, doesn't understand the local environment, doesn't understand anything in the community, but he's supposed to be doing it. And when he gets tired, he just forgets about everything. We are now, that's why I say it's called power to the people. We are taking power from a remote person to a local person. The people will now manage their education. The people will now manage their health. The people will now manage law and order in their community. People will now manage power and water. When you read my book, Weep Not Africa, you know how I've gone about solving the electricity problem. Very simple. Very simple. Using my chart, using the way I want to do it, in 5 years, Ghana can become a net exporter of power to West Africa. In 5 years, because for the first time, you realize that the issue of power, because we can't do it. The national government cannot do it. When this government was in opposition, they were saying all sorts of things. Today they come because the structure, the framework to do it properly is not there. So they're just trying something. You need to have a proper framework within which you operate. You are not going to fetch water without a container to put the water in.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have the container.
Yeah.
We need to have the framework. If you read my manifesto, Weep Not Africa, you see how I was speaking about power. How I was speaking about power and what we can do. At the moment, we are producing about 3,000 or 4,000. We have 3,000 or 4,000, maybe 4,000 maximum megawatts of installed power. We can get 25,000 megawatts of installed power in 5 years. Yes, we can get that in 5 years because it's not going to be based on the national system. It's going to be based on a state system.
Okay.
And if each state, if you have 11 states, and each of them is even producing 2,000 and 2,500 installed power or megawatts of installed power, that's 25,000. We are not even producing 5,000 now, but they don't have an idea how to exponentially increase our energy production. They have no idea. But when people want to talk about doom, so which is the killing of, which is the rationing of light or power, they should come to me. I'll tell them how to overcome that. In 5 years, we'll become a net exporter of power to other countries in the sub-region.
On that note, Dr. Nii, I'm going to have to stop you because it's 38 minutes now. There's a few questions I'd like you to answer. Is that okay?
Okay, sure. But is that the last slide?
That's the last slide, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure that everyone's got, you've given the listeners something to think about here. So let me just come up with a couple of questions. This one's from Anthony Aka. 13 years down the line, I'm not for sure where he means 13 years down the line from where or what. What are you going to do to affect to change this? What are you going to do to affect the change of the mindset that is already embedded in the psyche of people?
That's what we've started now. So 13 years down the line, we would have finished. You see, all human beings, one of the first things we learn in biology in secondary school was characteristics of living things. And one of the things is that they respond to external stimuli. Human beings are at the top of all living things. So we actually respond probably best, more than any other living thing. When people see good leadership as proper example and it's working, it's very easy to change their mindset. Changing mindset can never be in theory. It only comes because they see you doing what you ask them to do. And I'm telling you, once they see that and they see the results, they will change because everybody wants good life. So as for the mindset, most of us know what the right thing is, but the circumstances around us are such that we need something else, somebody else to take it from where we are to the next level. And that's where leadership comes in. I'm 100% positive that if I'm in charge, they will know that there's another way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I know the way Ghanaians behave. Once they see it, the change will come. Not everybody will go, nobody, you don't have perfect human beings anywhere in the world. But the majority that we need to move the country forward will have that change of mindset in that majority. So 13 years is way too far. And then 13 years is way too far. 2 years, 3 years, we will see massive change and they will follow. So as far as I'm concerned, a change of mindset is largely leadership inspired.
I agree. Yeah, it is leadership. I agree. Okay, thank you for answering that question, Dr. Nii. Is that on here? From Shika Aunor, how will ECOFED system address the state's land? I think there should be grabs in the capital we are seeing today.
In the first place, we are the state. All right. Our land tenure system is completely in shambles because you see, this is part of the problem. This is part of the problem. In 1896, the Crown then wanted to take our lands. And that's what led to the formation of the Aboriginal Right Protection Society of Mr. Saba, Mr. Say, Mr. Auma, Kesley Hayford, and the rest. And they took their own money and they went to England to meet the Queen or the monarch, whoever it was then. And they had to withdraw it. The following year, they brought another bill. The Apple chased them again. So they had to withdraw. But unfortunately, when we became independent, our first leader decided to have the Land Acquisition Act, Compulsory Land Acquisition Act. So what Mr. Saba and the rest fought against the white imperialists, when we became independent, the president invested himself without power to take any land at will. Unfortunately, successive heads of states have decided to use the same thing to take land as and what they want. But under eco-federalism, the land belongs to the state, not to the national government. The land. So in Volta region, the Volta region land belongs to the Volta region state or Volta state. In Greater Accra, the land will belong to a state of Greater Accra. In Central region, the land belongs, and you have to understand that the president, or not the president, the Amralo is the president of the State Traditional Authority, and he's the ceremonial head of the state government. Now, the land will be protected by the state parliament. So you're not going to have a president or a minister just get it. It's not going to work because the land no longer belongs to the national government. So ECOFED is another way of taking that power back from the president to the people.
Okay. Okay. And it's going to be the last question here, again from Anthony. How are these DSCs to be funded when there are not unlimited funds? Will it be based on revenue accrued in each district and allocated based on priority of the services being offered?
Thank you very much, Anthony. All right. So earlier on, we spoke about funding of the states. Now, we've talked about the funding of the state. At the moment, all the VAT that is collected goes to the central government. And it distributes the way he wants. If it's election year, he knows how to push it and where to push it to. Now, under ECOFED, all VAT collected will be distributed to the states according to population. So if one state A is 2 million and it gets 2 cities, if state B is 3 million, state B will get 3 cities. So now this money goes to the state parliament, the state government. That is one source, one major source. Second major source is that at the moment, all income tax goes to central government. And that's what it wants with it. What you are saying that under ECOFED, you're going to have a sliding scale of income tax retention. The very poor states in the north and Volta, they will keep 50% of the income tax they collect. And then the wealthier state in Accra and Kumasi will keep 25% of the income tax they collect. And then the in-between states will keep 37.5% of the income tax they collect. So basically, they are sharing the source of income with the national government. Okay, so this will be the source of course, then they'll have royalties and other state-based taxes that they will collect themselves. But these two major ones are going to be a major source of income for the state to plan its activities. Okay, so every district, for instance, a district of state A, district A says that, okay, for me, this year, my priority is I'm building polyclinic. I'm building 2 polyclinics in every constituency. So that's how I'm going to devote most of my money. They will plan that within their district executive committee. The money that will come from the state government, which it has received from the VAT and from income tax and from other state taxes, that's the way they will plan and distribute this money accordingly. Now, having said that, there's another fund that I've not spoken about, what they call the Bridging the Gap. But the Bridging the Gap funds will come from the Council of State. That will be for another day. But answering your question, the 2 major sources of income for the state, for all this that we are talking about, will come from the VAT and the retention of income tax, and of course their own state-based taxes they collect. Now, you have to understand also that the members of the DSC, the District Service Committee, they are all statutory working. The MP is a member, is a leader. The chief medical officer is a doctor being paid by the state. So they are not actually going to receive salaries for doing part of their job. They may have a small allowance for this and that, but all of them, except the traditional ruler, the traditional leader, all of them are statutory workers already. It's part of their job. Mm-hmm. If you are the chief medical officer in the district, you are the chief health officer. So you have to be involved with health planning. The same goes with the director of nursing and also the pharmacist. So when you are planning for your area, you're not going to be paid. You are being paid for being the district whatsoever. So again, to answer it in simple terms, the money will come from, and like everywhere in the world, even the United Nations, they have budgets. No money, no country has unlimited money. But once you receive the money, then you will sit down. At the end of the day, the District Executive Committee is government of local unit. You all sit down there from government, from opposition, all MPs are involved. You plan that, look, this year, let's use this money for this, and let's use money for that. This is our program for the year. The district brings out his program for the year, and the money that he gets, he decides what to use. So that's basically what's going to happen under this system.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation, Dr. Nii. And once again, thank you to everybody who has...
no more questions.
I just think... No, there are no more questions. That's it. Those are the other questions that people had.
Okay.
We're at 48 minutes and 45 seconds. So it's, yeah, I think that'll do it nicely. But just to remind everybody, once again, to follow Dr. Nii on all of his social media platforms and spread the word about the channel, spread the word about what Dr. Nii's vision is for the transformation of Ghana. Let your friends know, share the videos, encourage them to join us on here on YouTube, encourage them to switch on their notifications so they'll always be notified when we are doing something, okay? I just want to end with this quote that Dr. Nii sent me. Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. They have a problem for every solution. There are always solutions for the problem. There are always solutions. It's just that a negative person always sees it in reverse. I like this.
All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the rest of your weekend, okay? I'm on call, so bad for me.
But thank you for taking the time out, despite the fact you're on call. Thank you for taking the time and again, sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you everybody so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe this video. and we will see you again next week, 12 p.m. London GMT time. Okay? Take care and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.